I'm Janette Klingner, and I'm a professor at the University of Colorado at Boulder, and my program area is educational equity and cultural diversity. I have two funded research projects right now. One of them is Collaborative Strategic Reading Colorado in partnership with Denver Public Schools and Padres y Jóvenes Unidos, funded by the U.S. Department of Ed. It's an Investing in Innovation grant, and I'm working very closely with the school district, with Denver Public Schools in middle school classrooms, especially science and social studies classrooms, to support kids' reading comprehension and content learning. So that's one. And then the other project is focused on response to intervention for English language learners. And that project is taking place up in Eagle County, where we're working with two elementary schools supporting their implementation of response to intervention, or RTI, as we call it. The research on collaborative strategic reading actually goes back to my dissertation, so it's a line of research that's almost 20 years old for me. My dissertation was an adaptation of reciprocal teaching with students who were identified as having learning disabilities, who spoke Spanish as their first language, and they were middle school students. And so what I did was adapt reciprocal teaching, adding more components that I thought would be appropriate for them as English language learners. When I did that research, which was very successful, one of the 8th graders said to me, "Well, these are wonderful strategies, but why did you wait so long to teach them to us? You should have taught us these in 4th grade." And so the next research study I did was in 4th grade, but with further adaptations so that it would be appropriate for very large heterogeneous classrooms. Classrooms with 38 kids, where what we had them do was work in collaborative or cooperative learning groups. And so at that point we changed the name to Collaborative Strategic Reading. And that was done with the blessing of the developer of reciprocal teaching, Anne-Marie Palingsar, who was a consultant on my dissertation research. And so that's sort of when CSR was born, and that first article was published in 1998. And as I say, I've been doing research ever since. So it's very exciting for me to see it really being taken to scale, used much more broadly in Denver Public Schools. They really want it to go district-wide, and they have adopted it. So what's so interesting about this work is seeing a research-based practice get implemented, taken over, so to speak, by a school district, and understanding all of the factors that come into play in affecting how that happens. And it's just really fascinating work. I think that it may be the most important work of my career, although I've done other things I've really loved and valued also. But this idea of trying to figure out what it takes to really scale up a practice, to me, is very interesting, and recognizing that it can't be researchers sort of parachuting in from the outside with the answers, but really that the answers have to come from working with the district very closely and figuring out what their infrastructures are, what their existing initiatives are, so that we can learn how to integrate the new practice with existing practice, and sort of what that takes, what that looks like. And it's really taken learning a new culture too, which has been fascinating. I look back 2 years and realize, oh, you know, now I'm one of them. I can maneuver in the school district without feeling like, you know, I'm from another planet. So it's been really interesting. And then the other work, the response to intervention for English language learners, initially I wrote an opinion piece in Reading Research Quarterly that was called Cultural Considerations about RTI as it was first coming out. And that particular article got a lot of attention. And so I've done a lot of speaking on RTI, a lot of work on RTI ever since, and since have published with one of my doctoral students an article that's gotten a lot of play, looking at a particular elementary school trying to use RTI for the first time, and trying to understand what some of the challenges were faced by that school. And so that's been really interesting work. And so the opportunity now to actually be trying out the model putting into practice what I've been talking about is really exciting.